my gosh, where do I start? Well, whenever you see this, a temporary pond, netting, clips, and a bunch of wet towels on the floor, specifically wet towels that have water dripping out of my 4,500 gallon aquarium, well, you can guess that I'm pretty freaking not happy right now. Okay, so where do I start? Well, this ordeal started last night. I sort of came down before bedtime, just buttoning everything up down here, making sure everything was good. And I saw a little puddle of water on the floor over there, about yay big, over where I just showed you that there's a leak in the 4,500 gallon. And of course, you know, I find these things late at night right before to go to bed, so it's pretty stressful. I wiped it down a few times to see how fast it was leaking out. And it's kind of like a slow dribble. If I put a towel there over the course of 24 hours, give or take, it'll get totally saturated in water. So, you know, it's leaking. It's really low. So the fact that it's leaking out how it is quote unquote good, because it means the flaw inside is small with all that water pressure. If it was bigger, it would be, you know, catastrophic. So at any rate, the hard part isn't, I'm sure, or I don't think the hard part will be fixing it. Obviously, I haven't had a chance to get in there and figure out what the problem is. But before I can do that, there's a lot of work that has to take place. I have to set up this pool, transfer. Also, there's a big tub over there, a Rubbermaid tub. I've got 2 of those. So I'm going to fill all of them up with tank water. I have a bunch of cycled material, filter material. So get all those filled up. The pond, I have to build the pond, the Syntex pond, assemble it, I should say. It's a 1,000 gallon pond, and then I've got 300 gallons of the tubs, 150. So I'm going to distribute out some of the fish. I'll put the plecos in one with maybe like the wide bars, and then put the parrotfish in another, than the bigger fish in the big 1,000 gallon pond. Spread things out a little bit. Put air filtration on everything. Then I'm going to have to drain down a few thousand gallons of water, catch all the fish, get them in the ponds, get everything situated, and then fully drain the 4,500 gallon. And I am just so curious as to what the flaw could be, because based on that location, I overkilled this tank so much because of the size of the tank that I'm very curious. And we'll find out. I'll wait, and I was going to say, I have a suspicion what might have happened, but let's just wait. We'll see. So this video is obviously going to be about this, you know, I don't want to call it a disaster. A disaster would be if the glass broke and the glass shot hit me in the knees and all the water, and Ray was, you know, telling me ha and all that. That would be a disaster. This is very unfortunate. You know, leaking 4,500 gallon is a royal pain in the butt, and certainly not something I want to happen. But at any rate, I'll show you guys. We'll get all the fish situated. I'll show you how they're going to be cared for over the next probably week or 2 as I get in there. So I got to drain the whole tank down, clear out that area, get it all dry, that wood all dry from the inside and the outside. I'll get you in there, and I'll show you. I'll have the camera with me right when I start looking at the flaw. We'll see what the flaw is. We'll see if it's what I think it might be. At any rate, we'll address it because it's important. If you're gonna ever build anything like this, it's good to see how they're built by a bunch of people, see the flaws or the things that happen when they happen, see how they're fixed. All that is useful information for you guys. Plus, just, you know, even if you're not ever gonna build anything like this, I think it's just the whole process. It'll be interesting to see how to care for these big fish in a disaster temporary scenario and everything, as well as if we got to empty the entire tank. We know we're going to do a whole rescape over on the left side if you're facing the tank. So this will be the time to do that too. We'll get that big log in there, and we'll get that whole thing redone. and we'll try to make something good out of this, because it'll be, before I was going to do it with the water lower down, it would never be as good as emptying it all the way down and doing it from scratch. And I'll go through and make any tweaks to the scape when the thing is empty. Then hopefully get it fixed, fill it back up, get the fish back in. But at least for, I don't know how far we'll get in one video, but we're going to triage the situation now, and we're going to work on getting all these tanks set up, water moved in, fish caught, situated, and draining the 4,500 gallon beast. All right, here goes nothing. Well, you might think that fixing a 4,500 gallon, the hard part would be the actual work on the tank, but I actually believe it's this stage. It's setting up a holding environment, getting the fish over to it, and making sure you have proper filtration and everything. So let me walk you through what we've done so far. So at the far end, we have the 12,000 gallons an hour of return pump to bring the water down here to the refugium. Well, we've turned that off. You can see no water flowing out of there. As we walk further down, we've accumulated all my big nets for all the big boys. They're definitely not fun to catch, but we're not even gonna try until the water is way lower, making it a lot easier. Plus, it's not ready yet. And the big blue elephant in the room is this 1,000 gallon Intex pool, which I have assembled. And I gotta tell you, don't even read the instructions. Instructions are ridiculous. Just go on YouTube and type in 1,000 gallon Intex pool. There's like a little short. I watched 30 seconds of the short. I was like, yeah, easy peasy, put it together. Versus I couldn't make hide or hair of the printed directions. Just a little first-hand tip there. At any rate, so we got water coming in. We're pumping water from the 4,500 gallon into the 1,000 gallon, and then down here we are draining. We're just using a tube and using gravity, and we're draining down 150 gallons into the tub here. And I'm just gonna put the pleco and probably the parrotfish in here, the smaller guys. And of course we'll run air and filter and everything to this. And then the bigger boys, the catfish and the bass and the arrow, the Oscars, they'll go down here in this 1,000 gallon pond. And then once the water pushes the wall out, I'll be able to line that end with those AC 110s. I definitely have the other 3 on there, maybe 4. And I got a bunch of seeded media, which I'll put in there. And then that'll give us aeration and biological, mechanical, and everything, filtration for the pond. The last 2 days, actually, since it's taken time to get everything prepped and ready, I've been power feeding the fish. So when I first move them over into the holding environment, the first 2 days I won't have to feed them or anything. So that'll help with the filtration and everything like that. Let's see. All right, well, I've got a big hurry up and wait, but so the plan is get these vessels filled up, then bring the water level really far down, catch all the fish, then drain it all the way down, and then we'll come over to this spot right here, right on the pillar, and you can see we still have that little dribble leak right there, which I guess that's the only blessing if you have to have a leak, is you have a very slow one. So it gives you time to set up, prepare, and get everything done. But we'll get in there, we'll get on the inside, and we'll see. We'll have to, of course, clean off all that sand from the work area, and we'll figure out what the heck is going on, and yeah, get it fixed. So I've been taking the water from the 4,500 gallon and adding it into this 1,000 gallon pool here, which is full. We have seeded filters that are running seeded media, filter media from the other tanks. So we have it going, gonna be adding some more media. And I noticed something, probably when the water was only drained down to here, so a couple inches higher than what you see right now, and just to go back, it's not even halfway drained. If you get down to where the leak was, it's completely stopped. So just that amount of pressure being taken off has actually stopped the leak altogether, which just tells you it is a very, very fine leak. So it's gonna be some sort of hairline looking crack or something like that. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm super curious to get in there and figure this out, but that is a very interesting data point that just lowering the water that much has actually stopped the leak. So that does tell me it's going to be, like I said, something very, very minor, very hairline. Now, again, it doesn't really matter when a leak's a leak. You got to fix it and everything, but it is a very interesting data point. I just want to show you that while we still are full of water, or more than halfway full of water, and you can see just completely dry. I stopped working on it last night, and then when I came back, completely dry. Okay, well, I am pumping out more water, getting the water really low, and I will start catching these monsters. I'm taking off one of every top for each section so I can get in there with the big nets and get these guys moved over to their temporary home, which is actually, like I said, it's going to be the hardest part, just catching all these guys out of here. So I've spent some quality time inside the 4,500 gallon. I had a nice little stool set up down there, this guy right here, and I was examining the inside of this pillar over here, looking to try to find the problem, and I was starting off down low where the water was coming out, and I wasn't seeing anything. It looks perfect, but then I thought about something. As soon as I brought the water level down to here, the leak stopped, and I was thinking, maybe it wasn't pressure at all. Maybe it was simply that the leak was up here, and if you look, all of these wood is vertical, so if you had water leaking on the inside, it would go down until it hit this horizontal piece of wood, which is where it started dribbling out right here. So that made perfect sense. So then I started examining the inside of this pillar over here, and I did find a couple of small imperfections right up here. So I went ahead and started triaging it, sanding off what was there, put a new thing of fiberglass on there, and sorry, I got distracted. My helper walked up on me. Zipper, say hello. There you go. I'm sorry. At any rate, I went ahead and sanded down the imperfection in the pond shield and fiberglass from inside, and I went ahead, sorry, like watching the fish from the top, and I went ahead and put the new layers on. So it's time for me to get back in there, sand all that down. I went ahead and just did all the way from the top all the way down to near the water line there, even though the flaw is way up here. As you can imagine, getting in and out of here is a bit of a chore, and having these big boys just swim through your legs the whole time. It's definitely quite an interesting project to work on. At any rate, I'm going to take the sander up here. I'm going to go ahead and clean all that up and make up a batch of pond armor and get that painted. And well, let's see. I think that'll be it. I think that'll do it. So I'll get that painted and we'll let it cure, and then we'll fill it back up and we'll see what happens. See if I've diagnosed it correctly. Hopefully, if this is the case. So hopefully if I'm right, this is an easy fix. It's definitely a lot better if the imperfection is way up high in the aquarium rather than way down low, because as you've seen, I haven't had to go catch all the fish out yet and move them over, because there's still plenty of water in there, still, I don't know, 1,500 gallons of water or something, and 33 feet for them to swim back and forth. So they've been fine, though I am on a bit of a timer rate. I'm trying not to feed them right now since the filter's turned off and everything. Even though there's a lot of bacteria in there, I don't want to put any pressure on the system. But I can't leave it down forever, so I have been trying to move quickly. Also, all the plant roots are used to being in the water, and again, they can be out of the water for a little while, but you can only have so much time. So, trying to work fast to get this going. So I'll give the pond shield a day to cure, and then we'll fill it back up, and we'll see how it goes, and hope for the best. That was the problem, just a small separation up at the top there in the pond. Basically just again, it's sort of the typical thing when you're working on a big project. What I find is you have to when you get tired, you got to stop and come back to it, because sometimes if you're trying to finish up, so to speak, and you're kind of getting tired, you increase the likelihood you might make a mistake, and that looks like probably what it was. Just a small bubble in the fiberglass over time finally created a little crack and allowed water through, and you get a dribble leak like that. But leak's a leak, you gotta get it fixed. So hopefully, like every time, overkill, make the patch way bigger. Of course, I'm fully focused on just a small patch area, so it's perfect now. I'm just gonna get it sanded down, wiped down, and get the pond shield on there. So I'm gonna hop back in the 4500 and get her done. Trying to think how long it's been since I finished the 800 gallon, the scape, everything, totally done. It's been a long time because I can't even remember how long, but we finally have fish coming for this aquarium the week, pretty much probably the week that this video goes out, or the week before. And these are, so they're interesting fish. One of them is kind of common, but still you got to get the right size to mesh with the other two. And then one of the fish is very uncommon, and it's the one I was really waiting for. That's basically the feature fish of this tank, and then eventually a bigger tank. And then the other one is sort of in the middle. Not super rare, but kind of rare. But all three of them are very cool, and oh shoot, I forgot. There's 4. There's another one that I was able to source. So we got 4 fish coming. They're all really cool. I think 2 of them are, definitely showstoppers. The other 2 are very, very cool as well. I love them all. But at any rate, we're going to go from nothing to 4 fish in the 800 gallon cube, and I can't wait to show them to you. So look forward to that, as well as we have new fish coming this week for the discus aquarium, and we're finally starting to build up the livestock again in the 2,000 gallon lagoon aquarium. So all those videos will be coming really soon as those fish are all acclimated, settled in, and we'll go ahead and show them off. I can't wait. So hopefully this is the last time we ever see the 4,500 gallon looking like this, with the water all down and the fish all moping around going, what the heck are you doing? All of the tops and lights, everything in disarray, tools up top. How many ever want to see it like this again if I'm doing a water change? So the good news is I'm pretty positive. Again, I can't say 100% for sure, because I haven't tested it yet, but I'm pretty sure the actual leak was up here. The only problem in the workmanship I found was up high. Again, when I lowered the water down a little bit, it stopped leaking. I think it was just leaking in between these verticals, hitting that horizontal piece down there and dribbling out. It was a small leak. I found 2 small imperfections, and as normal, I found 2 small imperfections over here, but I went ahead and just redid the whole panel inside, and even after sanding down, chipping out the old work, putting in 2 new layers of fiberglass, 2 new layers of pond shield, and I even put a giant extra bead of silicone on top, and basically just waiting for that to cure right now, and I'll get the system fired back up. So again, it was probably, well, if I'm right, if that was the problem, and if I have fixed it, when we fill this up and everything's running great, then it'll turn out where the issue was not so bad, a lot like the little repair on the 720, so kind of a small issue. But in a tank like this, having to get inside the tank, using step stools and sitting on a stool and doing work without polluting the water, it's really just the effort it takes to work on massive tanks like this that is really the problem. It's just not an easy working environment in here. And again, the fish spend a lot of time swimming through your legs and everything like that. So that's the reason I didn't film when I was in there, because it's just, you can see I got all my tools up top and over here, and just trying to do this work and try to film. I just want to get it done because obviously we're running the tank. Oh, there's the arowanas come over to say hello. Yeah, we're running the tank with just oxygen over there. So I'm obviously not feeding these guys during this time. So it's one of those things where I want to put as little pressure on the fish as possible. So I want to get the job done as soon as possible. So I kind of put filming to the back of that. But at any rate, good news, I think. We'll find out together. We'll fill it up and we'll see what happens. But I think I've got the 4500 repaired. Didn't have to use the 1,000-gallon pool, but it's good to have it just in case. So once the repair is tested, I will take that down and pack it up in case I ever need it again. And these guys will get a big water change. Also, I'm gonna get in there and do at least some of this work over here, get it prepped. To be honest with you, I'm kind of beat from doing all that, so I may actually wait till I can get a little help and do this with a friend, and they'll just get another big water change. Oh, and one other thing is I did have some extra pond shields, so let me show you what I did with that. So over here on the 720, I went ahead and put another layer of pond shield on the top because you always get a little bit of water up there. So I went ahead and put a nice thick coat of pond shield. We know we have the little imperfection was, patch with a giant patch. I always like to go overkill. So we are finally back to aquascaping. The 720 here, and I have a bunch of rocks outside. So what I'm gonna do is I have a bunch of medium rocks. I'm gonna fill in with medium rocks everywhere. Then I'm gonna fill in with small rocks and then around the front and everything. And then I'm gonna start getting sand and get these, get all the hardscape done. I have wood root and everything, what I can put in later on, but I wanna go ahead and get this, before I go too crazy, I wanna fill this tank up, test my patch, make sure everything is good, and then I'll move forward with finishing off the aquascape. And also, speaking of that, I have live plants also coming this week for this aquarium, and I have the live plants for the refugium. So I'll probably take those water lettuce and put them in the koi pond outside. I'm sure the koi will have a fun time munching on them, and it's better than just throwing them out. So everything's going good here. The 1500 system should be coming online very soon, and hopefully everything goes well with the 4,500 gallon with the test fill, and then we can finally get back to working on this tank. And this is probably, and actually having these two small flaws that I had to fix and have to go through the pain of pushing a bill to fix something and doing the draining of the 4,500 and working inside of an aquarium like that. It's fresh in my head that I don't want to make any mistakes. So working on the 1,200 gallon here, I think it'll help me when I get tired to take a break and wait instead of rushing stuff. Because sometimes towards the end of a work session, I have a feeling the quality of my workmanship is probably better at the beginning of the session at the end, and that's where I get these little flaws I end up having to fix. So I definitely, like I said, definitely fresh in my head. So I want to try to prevent that from happening. As well as I was sort of mentioned that a friend of mine was saying, hey, do you think it sort of hurts people who want to build these types of things, seeing somebody who's built a lot of them, is pretty good at building everything and still has some problems and everything? I was thinking about it, and I'm good at building them, but I'm not perfect at building them. And really, what is? I mean, like, you can pick your favorite anything, car, game, house, anything that someone builds, and is it perfect? Is there sometimes little problems and stuff like that? Of course. And over 26 years, I built a bunch of these. They're not all the ones you see here, are not all the ones I've built. I've built other ones for other places I lived. I've built other ones for friends, things like that. So in the scheme of things, to have three small, I had, the 3000 had a leak, which I fixed, and it's been running fine since. And these two small ones, it's like, in 26 years, 3 little leaks, all getting fixed and should be no problem. Definitely the first was no problem. I think these two will be no problem. I think all in all, it's probably good to show that, or it is good to show it, because not that anyone thinks anyone is perfect or anything, but it just shows that, okay, you're building it. If there's a little problem, you can fix the problem and move on. It doesn't mean you have to not do something. I mean, if you're looking to have perfection before you choose to do something that's maybe not easy to do, building these is not necessarily easy, but it is very rewarding. So I think it's important for everyone to see that. It's also important to see the results. So we're going to fill up the 4,500, we're going to fill the 720, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if a little extra sanding, fiberglassing, and painting, and siliconing, if that was enough, if that type of work was able to fix the problem over the course of a couple days, then hey, I think that's not a bad solution for being able to have big, awesome tanks that I enjoy the heck out of daily. Well, this is the moment of truth. We are filling the 4,500 gallon back up. It's been a solid 4 or 5 days for these guys, living in a sort of, I don't know what you call this, diminished state, giving up probably 3,000 gallons that they're used to. At any rate, the patch is cured over here, and now it's time for the ultimate test, filling it back up with water. I'm gonna clean up a bunch of these tools and everything. I think for the ponds, I'm gonna leave them where they are just for now in case, you know, knock on wood, there's a problem with the patch. Please don't be a problem with the patch. But we will see, we'll find out in real time together. So this will fill up, and in the meantime, let me take you over to the 720 and show you what's going on over there. Okay, I'm happy to say that the 720s had water in it for a few days, and our patch in the back looks good and no other problems have popped up. It probably looks a little blurry. That's because the water there is colder than the room. The room is so warm, you get condensation all over the glass with the colder well water. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and top this off a little more. You can see it's pretty close to the drains and the return over there. I'm going to go ahead and top it off a little more with cold water, and then come over here and I'll go ahead and just adjust the valve so we can start running the entire system off of the one pump. I was thinking I needed a second pump, but I forgot that I used to have to run the pump at pretty much half speed or it would completely overwhelm this tank. So when I adjust that back so that the water is being diverted 50-50 to the 265 in wall and the 720 over here, I can then just turn the pump up all the way. All this water here is to temperature, and this is around 900 to 1,000 gallons, and this will be around 700, 720. So that'll help warm this up. And actually after a couple days, it's a lot warmer. It's just that it's so warm in the basement to heat all the tanks, you know, being like maybe high 60s or something like that. Still gets you a little bit of condensation. And now I need to start figuring out what I want to do with the lights. Right now I'm just reusing some of the Higers. I'm debating trying to program them and not use them with my timers and see if they'll work. Might be worth a shot. At any rate, this is gonna be one of the first tanks that gets the outside veneer, so there'll be some framing in the front and everything. So I can kind of do whatever with the lights because you won't be able to see it once that's done. Okay, coming back around to the front, let's talk about the scape real quick. So we have obviously the one big rocky area over here, and let's see if we get a better view from the top. So we have 3 caves entrances, one cave entrance here, one coming out the top vertically, and another one under that rock coming out this way. Over here in this other smaller island, we also have 3 cave entrances, one in the back, one over in this corner, and then one in the middle, all those horizontal. So what I'm going to do now is get a bunch of this sand that I have outside, get it all washed down. I'm going to add it to the tank because as long as you pour it under the water, it won't, I'm going to wash it thoroughly, and then you pour it in under the water, it'll pretty much not cloud it up too bad. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to get a few more rocks. I want to bring this side up just a little bit more in the corner. I'm good with that. And then I'm going to start building a little bit of framing in the back here on top, which is going to allow me to hook a wood root into it that's going to go down into the tank. And you know, I'll show you that once it's ready, and that's going to be what we're going to attach a lot of plants to. So we're going to have 2 islands of rock with lots of wood overlaying it, like root, like thick root with plants all over it on both sides, and then a big open area of white sand here all in the front, and then a lot of caves. So I'm going to go ahead and advance this further, and then we'll take a look back at it. But the 1,500 gallon system, it's getting real close. It's getting real close to being fully running, and once it's fully running, all the water going through all 3 tanks, and the 720 escaped, once the water's up to temp, it'll be time to transfer fish. Okay, I am so happy that the end of the video is no more leak. That it turns out I was right. The leak was up here, and the fix has held. It's been over 48 hours, and the fish are very happy to have the water filled back up, and I'm very happy to have the water in the aquarium and not on my floor. I didn't know how this video was going to end because I just started it and I said, well, we'll see what happens. I had my trusty assistant here to help me out, and whew, thank God the leak was up here. And thank God I actually came over and just happened to notice, because it takes a long time to drain or fill or anything. I just happened to come by when the water was like here and noticed it had stopped. And at the time, I still thought it was just a pressure thing, but fortunately, I just kept it in my mind. And as I went on, I kept thinking about it, and I said, you know what? I don't think it is a pressure thing. I think it's that's where the flaw thing is. And I looked closer and saw that they had the vertical lines, and then as soon as it hit a horizontal piece, it leaked out, and it all made sense. And of course, I still had to get inside. I had to drain it down as far as I did, jump inside to be sure. But as I expected, the lower part, it was all good, and there was an obvious flaw up top that had finally given. And so, man, it was still a really hard 4 days because working inside there and setting up all of this, which I'm taking down now, and the 2 temporary ponds. It's still a lot of work, no doubt about it, doing all the fiberglass work and the epoxy work, silicone work, and just the stress of your biggest tank, your 4,500 gallon, having a leak. It's not something I want to do anytime soon, but I guess it's sort of par for the course with these humongous tanks, is that when everything's going great, you get years and years of basically cruise control because you don't have to do much to maintain the tanks because of the size and the filters and the size of the filters and the plants. Sorry, I'm looking at some hungry peacock bass over here. They haven't eaten in a few days. But when something does go wrong, it's a lot of work. Just taking off all the tops and lights and draining and preparing to have to do something for the fish. It really is an undertaking, but all's well that ends well, and I'm happy to say the leak has been fixed. Oh my gosh, that was a hell of a scare, and it was a lot of work, but this is a very good ending. Now I need to get this place cleaned up, get all these temporary ponds out of here, and get this 1,200 gallon tank over here finished. Well, if you made it to the end, you might be noticing there's some new fish in both of these aquariums, and there's actually some new fish in some other aquariums as well as a big order of plants. There's a lot of new livestock for the Aquarium and Fish Basement. Finally time to start stocking up some of these tanks. The 1,500 gallon system is going great. That's filled up and running. You're gonna see that in the next video. Thank God the 4,500 gallon leak was more easily repairable than I feared it might be. We can get back to that 1,200 gallon build because we got good weather still, so that's rocking and rolling. And man, it was a heck of a scare, and it was really a heck of a 4 days, but coming out the backside, feeling good, loving my big tanks, loving the fish basement, and can't wait to get Predator Base 6,000 going, because I don't know if this shark is, if he's going to be happy with just Predator Base 3,000. He might need something bigger. But we'll save debuting all these cool new fish for the next video, and I'll see you in the next one.